Now, why only 4 main points? Well, it's better to strengthen a main argument than start a new one or a weak one. Now, what I mean by that is as I said before, if you've got 6 or 7 other little tiny points, what you're essentially doing is you're wasting space. By strengthening your main point, you're contributing to your argument. You may contribute to it too much, but that being said, it's much better to continue on a little bit too much for a main point than to start with all these little weak appendix points, things that aren't really needed. The more you discuss for each point, as I said, the more valid it becomes. When you are expected to write an essay, they're going to expect you to develop your points. They don't want something that's a brief 100-word paragraph which doesn't really tell us anything about it. It just introduces the idea and says that's true because I think it is. No, you need to develop it. You need to discuss it. You need to come up with all the reasons why it's true. You need to leave your marker in absolutely no doubt whatsoever that what you're saying there is true. And by grouping your ideas, as I said, under a main point, you're covering a much wider area. And this is what the pie here is for. Not just because I'm hungry. It's there because of the fact that what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover as much of the pie, if that's your question, as possible. When you're having a look at your question and answer and you're trying to put it all together, you're not going to cover every aspect of it. You're going to cover the majority of it though. You need to find some main ideas that are going to cover big chunks of it. And even if you do leave some bits out, that's fine, because you've covered enough of the main point to really be able to have a cohesive argument, one that stands up. You'll have a 60-40 as opposed to those who write very weak points, which only cover a very small section, basically that bit that's cut out, and leave the whole rest of it for the ants to fight over. If you're doing that, then really you're missing a lot of the point of what it is you're supposed to be writing about. And you're not really answering the question. You're answering a very small part of the question. And you're doing it very well, mind you, but you're not answering it in full. This is an idea of grouping some points so you get a bigger chunk and you can discuss it a little bit more cohesively. So if you're to look at what are the reasons for drivers' deaths, and you go driving too fast, and you go street races, and you go pushing themselves too hard when you're wanting to see how fast you can go for the first time, and then people in a rush, you've got all those 4 things together and you're going, okay, how do I group those together? What is the common ground? I don't know. Can I just write them all as 4 separate points? Well, you could do that. Really, driving too fast, street racers pushing themselves, people in a rush, can all be grouped under speed. And if you start off with speed, you're covering a much bigger portion, which includes all of these things. And you can use all of these things as your valid reasons why, but you're grouping them under that banner of speed. So immediately you're focusing on the main reason for driver deaths is speed. Simple as that. Makes it much easier. And you start with something like street races, for instance. That's not the main reason for driver deaths. It's a problem. It's a pain in the backside, but it's not the main reason why. The thing is, it becomes much stronger, and it also avoids repeating yourself, basically. So all of these things, when you're discussing them, will be repeating themselves over and over again. If you group them under the term speed, then what you're effectively doing is you're compressing what it is you're writing, and that means you can put more detail into your explanations and your examples as well. You can unify them all under a single argument, which makes it much stronger. Let's put it this way. You want a big argument, not a very small one. If you can do that straight away from the beginning, you're going to impress your markers with basically how much you can put things together. You can draw all the dots, you can connect every little bit of it together.